Hi, in any container, I might be looking at how to see the logs as well as what is the status of that specific container in terms of the resource utilization. Basically, the statistics. Let me go ahead and create a sample container. Docker container run in the detached mode, name log stats, and the port I wanted to map is 6061 to port 80 of the container, and let me start Nginx. Let me go ahead and access this specific port. Let me get the DNS and access the port 6061. So this is the output, and within the security group I have changed the port access, that is 6000 to 7000 by everyone. In case if you want that to be more secure, just give access only to your IP address so that no one else from the outside world will be in a position to access. And I can use any port between 6000 and 7000. So I'm able to access the container. Now let me see how to access the logs. So I can say docker container logs tail, that is like how many number of items from that particular container, log underscore stats. So it's going to provide the last 10 log entries from that specific container. So this is one way, and sometimes I may wanted to keep following the logs. So I will be using the option -f docker container logs -f and then the container name log underscore stats. So it will keep following. The control will be waiting within the shell, and whenever I access the page, the log will get updated. So basically it's the follow option. Now I access it once, and it's going to put the log over here. This will be helpful whenever we are debugging the container. And there is another option top to see the processes running within the container, docker container ls. So I'm going to use the option top, docker container top log underscore stats. So it's going to provide the processes running within that specific container. And the next command that we are going to see is stats, docker container stats log underscore stats. So this is going to provide the CPU utilization, memory utilization, how much amount of network IO being utilized for this particular container. All such information we will be in a position to get. And whenever we are starting a container, we can restrict the resource utilization by each container, and we can monitor how much have been utilized. In this case, I have not provided the limit, so it will have access to the entire capacity of the host and how much percentage have been utilized by this specific container. I can get it. In case if I have multiple containers, I will have the details on all the containers. Let me go ahead and start another container. Let me keep the port as 62. Let me start another container and keep the port as 63. Sometimes I might wanted to get the statistics on all the containers. So I don't need to mention the exact specific container. I can say docker container stats. I'll get the statistical information about all the containers. If you observe very carefully, this particular container is having access to the entire 3.851 GB of memory, and the same is true with the other containers as well. And how much is being utilized currently, that I do have the information over here. So this is a quick information on how to use the log, top and stats command within the container.